Hi everyone and welcome back. Today is going to be another day of looking at how to live stream a lesson. Today we're going to be looking at the product of Zoom. Zoom, which was actually really nice, and at the very early start of this pandemic, went out and basically removed the time constraint for teachers. Normally there's a time limit of how long you can have a Zoom meeting for on the free version. They removed that for us, which was very nice of them. It's one of the reasons I feel like why it grew so rapidly and so many people started using it. They got a lot of big publicity from that. They did unlock everything though, and I'm only going to show you what you get if you're using the teacher subscription that doesn't have a enrollment with it. So there are some features that I know it can do, but you can't access on the free version. But to start off with, I always start this from the app itself. I don't bother using the online tool for this. I find it's easier to start everything here. So you see I have my Zoom icon right here in the center of the screen. So let's double click that and open it up. And when you start it up, it'll say it's connecting. First time it'll have you log into your account. You can see I'm logged in over there. And you'll first see that there's a couple options at the top. There's a chat that you can chat with people with. You can have meetings that you set up. Everyone's going to have a personal meeting ID that doesn't change, but any meeting you do you can always have it pick randomly. It also has your contact list that you can have, any designated channels, things like that that you might be utilizing. I generally only use this for live streaming things, occasionally hanging out with my friends, depending on what's going on. So if you come back to the home screen, you'll see that you have 4 buttons to choose from. You can start a new meeting. And you can start with a video or use your personal meeting ID. Again, I always use a random one, so I just start with video. You can join an existing meeting, you can schedule a meeting, and you can share your screen with the option of whether or not you want to choose sounds. To join a meeting, you would click join. It asks you to enter a meeting ID or the personal link, and we'll get to that when you start how to invite people to a meeting. But you would enter your ID, which I think normally around 7 digits. You would enter that ID. If there's a password on it, you would be prompted for that password that you would then have to enter to join. You also have the option of, do you want to connect audio? Do you want to turn off your video? Sometimes you don't want people to see your face. I generally am of that mentality, but I figure for these sakes, as a teacher, the kids like seeing our faces. And I'm very expressive with mine when I teach and when I try to do these things, so I do like to show my face to the kids. You also would enter a name. It could be your real name, it could be a fake name. That's up to you. I tell the kids to just use their first names, just so I know they're there, and if I call on them, I can call on them by their name. But as you get to know the kids' names, that probably would become less and less necessary. I'm going to cancel this. You have the option to schedule a meeting, so you hit schedule. You type in the topic of your meeting, you set a start date, you set a time, you set a duration. That duration isn't like a timer. So like if you set it for 30 minutes, it's not going to close the meeting after 30 minutes. It's established so that the people that are joining the meeting have an idea of how long you plan on talking for, which is really nice. If it's a regular meeting, like if it's a class meeting, you can set it as recurring. And it'll come up over and over and over again, which is a nice feature. Meeting ID, you can generate it automatically. Again, it'll be a random number, or if you want to keep it the same, you can keep it the same. You can choose to require a password or not. I believe now if it's an education version, a password must be required, but you can control the password. Even if you couldn't, I would always say put on a password for it. You don't want random people popping into your Zooms. You can look up stories on that happening. You choose if you want to have the video on for yourself, if you want the participants to have their videos on. That's personal preference. You can also have it automatically post to your calendar. And then you've got some extra options. Sorry about that. You can choose to enable the waiting room, which means when people join the Zoom, they don't join straight into it. You actually have to approve them before they can enter the meeting. Do you want people to be able to join the meeting before the host does? Again, if you have kids joining, I would advise against that. Do you want participants muted when they enter the meeting? Sometimes that can be helpful. And do you want the meeting to automatically be recorded? I always recommend looking at district policies before recording a meeting with students. That's my advice there. Because you would have children potentially on your screen, and I understand why you would want to record it, but I also can understand why districts would not want that done. Once you have everything established, you hit the schedule button and schedule, then like I said, it'll add it to whatever calendar you choose to add it to. Screen sharing is exactly what it is. It lets you share it, and again, this is sharing it to a meeting that you'd be joining. Most people don't use this screen share directly from here, so I'm not going to go too into it. But I'm going to go ahead and start a new meeting for us, and you can kind of see where this goes. Start a new meeting, you just simply hit new meeting, and it's automatically going to load up the meeting. You'll see it saying it can't use my camera because my camera is again in use already, so you'll get to see my lovely Bitmoji. But this is what our screen looks like. So we'll go around this thing for a second. Yes, I understand that it can't start there. Close you. There it is. Okay. So up here it says enter full screen mode, so it goes into full screen mode. Yeah, I think everyone understands how that works. If you go down, you have the ability to end the meeting, and you can choose to, when you end it, you have two options. You can either leave the meeting, and in doing so, if you're the host, you can assign a new host, or you can end the meeting for everyone in attendance, which completely ends the meeting and kicks everybody out. If you're teaching, when you're done with the lesson, end the meeting for all. This way the kids can't jump back in or hang out and be mean to each other. We don't want either one of those two things happening. You then can go along the bottom, and you have some reactions that you can take a look at. If we move along, we're going to go right to left in this case, just go in a big circle. Reactions appear on your screen, and other people can see it on your squares when you do a reaction, which is always very nice. Here's your option to record the screen if you would like. If you want to share your screen, you can hit this button and choose what you would like to share on your screen. So you can see you can share a whiteboard, which is really nice because you can click whiteboard and you hit share, and now you've got a whiteboard that you can draw on. You can see my lovely artistic skills here. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to make. You can add new pages to your whiteboard and all that stuff. You do have tools. Sorry, they loaded on my other screen. You do have tools. You can clear the entire drawing. You have different ways you can draw. There's a lot of power there, and that also does come with a screen share. When you do as that option, when you're done, you simply hit the stop share button. Your screen goes back, and you're now back in your normal screen. There's a chat that you can open up on the side here. You can message all people involved or just the people you want to involve. Both are fine. You can also view the participant list, and here you see all the participants that are here. You can invite them, you can mute them all. You have some option. If you hit the three lines, you get some participant options. For example, do you want to mute them on entry? Do you want them to be allowed to unmute themselves? This can be good with kids if you're trying to get the lesson through and you don't want them interrupting. You disable that. The audience now can unmute themselves until you let them. Or you can unmute them manually and then remute them. It's that power we've always wanted in school, but never actually had until now. Finally, we can just mute, teach, unmute. Do you want the kids to be able to rename themselves in the meeting? That's, again, a personal choice. I would advise against it, and I would make sure that they enter with their real name. Do you want to play a sound when someone joins or leaves? That's just a good way to know if things are happening. Enable the waiting room. Again, I recommend keeping this on. And do you want to lock the meeting, meaning people can no longer join? It keeps everything nice and controlled. And then finally, you've got your security options, and a lot of them are overlapped between in this participants section. Things you want to be aware of in there here, though, of what can participants do. One of the big things is share the screen. That starts off as disabled to begin with, but if you want to enable it, you can. It might be good if you're having the kids do presentations, but you don't want them to fight over each other. Also in the participant list, is the invite button. If you hit it, you can invite people manually. You can send them an email. And at the bottom, you've got these copy invite link and copy invitation. I would recommend if you're inviting people like through an email or through a text message, use copy invitation because that gives them all the info. An invite link literally is just that, it's an invitation link. And what you would do is you would just get it, they'd paste it. It would say, hey, look, there's a thing, open Zoom meeting. Oh, nope, sorry, didn't want to open it in Zoom meeting. Want to come back, paste it. Not going to open in Zoom meetings. This has worked in the past. Sorry about that. Normally I have done this before and it isn't working for me. But that would normally allow you to enter the meeting and you can have a meeting with yourself. It's kind of weird. You do have the option to change your interface of how you view people, whether it's just the speaker talking, whether it's everybody and they're just highlighted. There's a lot of options there to be aware of, but unfortunately because of me alone in the meeting, I can't do it. Continuing over to our left, we've got the start video option, and you can choose a couple things here. A fun one that a lot of teachers like to use is the virtual background. It lets you change where you're located. So we can go here and it's like grass I don't have yet. Oh, I don't have any of the, oh, right. Yeah. So you would download it or you can upload any of your own pictures and it'll automatically behind you put this image. Now it's a little choppy, it's a little grainy unless you have a green screen. And it even says if you have a green screen or not. Mirroring video isn't a major thing, it just makes it easier for you to see yourself. It does not mirror how the people see you. You can use your own photos also. If you have like a photo of you at a beach, or let's say you were ever chased by a T-Rex, you can put a background of you being attacked by a T-Rex. It's a fantastic option, by the way. The kids love it. Also in settings, you've got a lot of things you can look at. Reaction skin tone colors. Couple things. Reminds for when your meetings are start, show how long you've been on. That's a nice one. You've got video options. Again, mirror my video applies only to you, and it's really so that like if you raise your right hand, it looks like you're looking in a mirror. It's more natural for people to see that than, you know, I lift my right hand up, but it's the hand on my left side that's moving. It can be confusing. Couple other things about your meetings, your audio settings. You know, again, share screen rules. You know, there's a lot here. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, unless you guys really want me to do a deeper dive into all this. Finally, you get your mute settings. Do you want to be heard when you're speaking? Do you not want to be heard? General rule of thumb, large meeting, keep yourself muted unless you're speaking. Small meeting, you generally don't have to. Depends on what you're meeting for. But just general courtesy in the large meeting to keep yourself muted unless you're talking this way. Your background noise doesn't overtake this main speaker, or, you know, someone flushes a toilet in your house and everybody hears it, or, you know, there's all crazy. Again, you can look online and find all the crazy things that have happened during Zoom meetings. It's not for the faint of heart. I'll say that much for it. But you choose what microphone you want to use, choose the speaker set you want to use, you can do all your testing, you can look at your audio settings, all those things going through and run your meeting. A couple of things you might see, or one of the big things that you'll see if your district pays for this, is the ability to do breakout rooms. And that is where you take the participants, you throw them into smaller meets where they are talking amongst themselves. Great, and then you as the instructor can pop into all of those. I've never been on that side of it. I want to be, but they won't give me it, and it's expensive. But it's a nice way if you want your kids to work in groups, you can assign them groups. They can't change their groups as far as I'm aware. So whoever you put them with, they're stuck with and have to work with. Insert evil laughter here. So that works out really well for them. And then when they're done, they can either leave the breakout group themselves and join the main group, or you can pull them all back by ending the breakout sessions, I believe. Also, if you, I believe, subscribe to this, or your district subscribes to this, they can control who has access to this, meaning like it can be restricted to just people within your school domain, as opposed to anyone randomly on the internet. Again, that you can just look up crazy things that have happened. But it's been a growing thing in teachers. A lot of teachers have enjoyed it. A lot of teachers have liked it. I liked it. I liked the ability to mute all the students and not let them unmute themselves. But that's just my personal opinion. I think it's a fun power move. And power moves are fun sometimes. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's a nice product. It's simple to use. It's got a lot of versatility. But again, there is a big price tag. I know my district looked into it, and the price was a big stopping point, especially because we're a Google district and get meets. But if your district's paying for it, I say utilize it to the best of your possible ability. Do your own research in it. There's a lot to it that I've never had a chance to play with, and I'm kind of sad about that. But it is what it is, and like I said, it's nice that they made it free for educators and removed our time limits at a time where online and virtual learning is a major factor. Tomorrow, though, I'm going to be taking a look at Nearpod, which is an online presentation tool, as well as my Viewboard, which is an online whiteboard that you district may be subscribing to, and it has a in-classroom part, but you don't necessarily need it all the time. So I'm looking forward to showing those to you guys really briefly. Other than that, class is dismissed. Bye.